This morning, we are learning more about the ICE raids that targeted 7 locations in 3 parts of the metro area. What families should do if they find themselves face to face with ICE. But first, King Soopers workers are going on strike. We're live along the picket line. That strike is now taking effect as we speak this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jordan Chavez.
And I'm Corey Rose. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon joins us live from King Soopers in Arvada. Courtney, how will this affect people who shop there?
Good morning, Corey and Jordan. So King Soopers will have shortened hours at certain stores, and they are also hiring temporary workers. Only time will tell while this strike goes on what else will be affected inside of the stores. But you can see strikers are out here right now. They're holding signs that say, please do not patronize this King Soopers. They've been out here for about the last 2 hours. Workers say they've been fighting for higher pay and more staffing for months. King Soopers says the union, quote, refuses to actively bargain on wages. Stores throughout Adams, Arapahoe, Broomfield, Denver, Douglas, and Jefferson counties, as well as Boulder and Louisville, are affected by the strike. It's also impacting store operations, according to King Soopers. Some locations will temporarily run on shortened hours during the walkout. King Soopers says it has also hired temporary workers to keep the stores open. As the strike plays out, Colorado's Attorney General will be keeping an eye on things. AG Phil Weiser filed a lawsuit in relation to the 2022 King Soopers strike, which lasted 9 days. During that time, shelves at unionized King Soopers emptied. In a suit to block the Kroger-Albertsons merger, he claimed the two companies colluded during that strike to not poach employees or pharmacy customers across picket lines. They're still waiting for a ruling.
We're going to be keeping a close look on these companies, and if we hear any hint of agreements that they're making with each other not to compete for customers, not to compete for workers, that's not okay, and we'll investigate.
The union says the strike covers about 10,000 workers across 77 stores. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll hear from a supply chain management professor at DU who will explain how this will impact customers. Live in Arvada, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Courtney, thank you.
All right, let's give you a live look right now outside. This is from our camera at Denver International Airport. Pink skies to kick off your Thursday morning. It's 26 degrees out there, and we're going to be warming up into the mid-50s.
I'm so glad we have that camera out there now. It is so beautiful. Weather will not impact any flights today, Chris, but this weekend things will be changing.
Love that, Karen. You can almost smell the jet fuel just sitting there looking at that and staring out. In the meantime, yeah, you're exactly right. As we get into the weekend, we will start to see some of those changes. And today, less wind. Tomorrow, the wind picks back up. And those temperatures will as well. Meantime, here in Denver, 25 degrees right now, looking off towards the Rockies and some clouds over the mountains, but those are starting to dissipate even up in the high country. 20s for us in the eastern plains for the most part, and we're mostly in the 20s and 30s here in the high country as we get going on this Thursday morning. Winds are on the calm side right now, and certainly notably calmer than this time yesterday. That bus stop forecast, about 35 degrees for us this morning, and then as the kids head home, about 52 degrees for us. Mainly sunny skies through the day today. We'll get up in the low to mid 50s for us. High temperature right around 54 sunsplash degrees. The main impact, main story for today is those lighter winds compared to what we had yesterday. Yesterday, we had a 58-mile-an-hour wind gust out at the airport. In fact, temperatures spiked by 48 degrees in 9 hours yesterday in Denver. Much calmer, much more just kind of tranquil weather for today. Now, tomorrow, the wind picks back up again. That's out ahead of our next storm system. I'll have details on that storm system for you in just a couple of minutes. Let's send things over to Keely now for a look at traffic.
All right, thanks, Chris. And here is a live look. This is I-70 near Havana, and you can see there's slow-going traffic. This is eastbound traffic, slow-going, and that is due to a crash just in. We'll take you to the travel maps right now and show you where this is. Here it is. So this is a crash. It is on eastbound I-70 right around Chambers Road. So we're certainly seeing slow-going traffic behind that as a result. Not quite stop and go, but certainly a slowdown as a result of that crash. Few drive times for you. Westbound I-70, E470 to I-76, 21 minutes. You got the yellow light for that drive. Also, a little bit of an improvement, 8 minutes, 270 I-70 to I-25, so not too bad. And we're looking at about a 17-minute commute westbound I-76, E470 to Commerce City.
All right, Keely, thank you. It is now 7:05 on your Thursday morning.
And new this morning, CBI is searching for a missing adult. 38-year-old Crystal McKinney was last seen around noon on January 30th. She was last seen walking near St. Anthony's Hospital in Lakewood. Crystal is 5'4", 280 pounds with brown hair and eyes. She was last seen wearing a pink hat with black pom-poms, black leggings, and a navy blue jacket and white tennis shoes. Crystal has a developmental disability. If you see her, call Lakewood Police 303-980-7300. This morning, we are still trying to get answers from ICE after raids targeted homes across the metro area. Federal officers started early in the morning yesterday and went all day long.
Yeah, they hit at least 7 locations across the metro area, mostly apartment complexes and even a mobile home community. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles joins us live from the Cedar Run Apartments in Denver. Jenny, this was one of the first targets.
Yeah, this was one of the very first yesterday morning. We were standing in this nearly exact same spot, 7 a.m. The difference is, instead of what you see this morning, just an apartment complex, people coming and going, a pretty standard weekday morning, this complex was flooded with federal agents. One of several complexes that throughout the day we would see the same sights. We'd see ICE agents, we'd see FBI agents, DEA. We would see tactical gear and tactical big old vehicles. We'd see a bus in some of these locations that was used to put people who had been arrested on the bus and then transported elsewhere. We know of at least 7 locations yesterday between Denver, Aurora, Thornton, Arapahoe County. ICE told us that the plan was to target more than 100 members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. You've heard about this gang in the news before. This is something we've talked about a lot. But as of Wednesday night, ICE pointed to one arrest of a suspected TDA member wanted for a crime that was committed in another country. So we're trying to square what their stated goals were with what we actually saw, with any numbers we can actually get. It's been kind of tough. ICE is telling us that these were targeted raids. They had people in mind they were looking for. But witnesses in many of these locations said it was a totally different story. They were going door to door, knocking, waking people up, asking for documentation for different people. We even have security video from like the camera on a door at one of these places that shows ICE agents knocking. And that's what a lot of people woke up to yesterday.
Pues yo pensé que también me iban a deportar, pero cuando me pidieron mis papeles, yo los enseñé y no hicieron nada al respecto conmigo, pero mi amigo sí no tenía nada.
He asked me how long I've been here. I told him I'm a citizen, you don't have to ask me any question, sorry.
You know, I did end up showing them my ID and everything else because I was scared. They had their foot in the door and I felt like if I were to try and shove it more, they would have just barged in and arrested me and everyone else in the house.
So this is something that we really want to understand better and that we're still trying to get answers to, is how many people did ICE target, specifically go in and they were looking for, versus maybe how many people got picked up kind of collaterally on a civil immigration charge because they were knocking door to door. These are the type of questions we're asking. We do not have the answers yet. Again, the stated goal of 100 members of this gang versus what we saw on the ground, which was various arrests at multiple locations, but nowhere near that 100 mark. So as we learn that information, we will continue to report it. Reporting live in Denver, Jennifer Meckles, 9 News.
All right, Jennifer, we appreciate it. We have more coverage on those raids on 9news.com and streaming on 9 News Plus. And coming up in our next half hour, we're covering state laws and rights when it comes to immigration agents knocking on doors.
Right now, we are following breaking news in Centennial. You're looking live at a CDOT camera at Parker and Lewiston. Those flashing lights are crews responding to a fire inside the Centennial Crossing apartments. We're learning from South Metro Fire the fire is now under control, contained by sprinklers to just one apartment. Crews did evacuate some people there. New this morning, we're learning that some inmates are using a legal loophole to smuggle drugs and other contraband into Colorado prisons. The loophole is using legal mail, meaning letters sent between an attorney and their client. That mail is protected under attorney-client confidentiality. Inmates exploit that loophole to get illegal substances into prison. A defense attorney in Colorado Springs says this has happened to him before. He was told his letter contained contraband, but that letter was addressed to an inmate who was not his client. The Colorado Department of Corrections told their partners at KRDO this kind of thing is common and they investigate all mail that comes through.
Federal employees offered a deferred resignation package have until the end of today to decide whether to accept it. Trump administration officials say that they could face layoffs after that deadline. The packages allow workers to quit now and get paid through September 30th. The Office of Personnel Management is also offering an early retirement incentive. The pseudo buyouts are part of an effort to overhaul the government and rein in spending.
About 200 workers at the Environmental Protection Agency are expecting to be put on paid leave. EPA leaders told workers at the agency's Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights they will be treated as a DEI division. The move is in line with President Trump's executive order to cut DEI programs and initiatives in the federal government. The EPA already shut down its DEI office and put its employees on paid leave.
The CIA has complied with a White House demand to identify all employees hired within the last 2 years. It's part of President Donald Trump's effort to downsize the federal workforce. Those names were sent in an unclassified email listing only workers' first names and last initial, but being unclassified means foreign hackers may be able to access it, exposing identities and putting the CIA in a position of not being able to deploy workers undercover. A source says it was, quote, the least bad option to comply with the order.
This morning, FBI leaders are facing accusations of insubordination from the acting Deputy Attorney General for failing to hand over the names of employees who worked on January 6 investigations. In a memo, Email Bove says those agents won't be fired unless they, quote, acted with corrupt or partisan intent. Just last week, the Bureau did hand over details of more than 5,000 agents and employees at his request, but sources with CNN say the list only included ID numbers and job titles, not their names. That request sparked 2 lawsuits arguing the information could put FBI employees in danger.
This morning, we are learning that CBS did not doctor a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris from October. The network just released a transcript from the interview. Just before the election, President Trump sued the network, claiming CBS altered the content of Harris's answers through editing, claiming it amounted to election interference. The interview was taped, and CBS admitted that it made cuts, but only for time constraints. The published transcript puts to rest claims of fraud in the public arena. However, the court case is still active. Last week, the New York Times reported CBS's parent company, Paramount, was trying to settle it.